They always say a story has two sides, but sometimes the world only believes the louder one. And that's why you need to hear this till the very end. Because what happened in that classroom changed not just one girl's life, but the way everyone understood courage forever. And before we start, if this hook pulled you in even a little, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to Kindness Tales. It truly helps these real, powerful stories reach more hearts. Her name was Emma Lane, a quiet 13-year-old who liked sketching waves along the margins of her notebook and who never spoke unless spoken to. She wasn't the kind of girl who boasted or exaggerated or drew attention, which made it all the more unbelievable when the entire 8th grade turned on her over one simple truth, that her mother, Sarah Lane, was a Navy SEAL. It wasn't a loud declaration. Emma mentioned it casually when their teacher asked who their heroes were. While other kids talked about singers, actors, athletes, she smiled shyly and said, "My mom, she's a Navy SEAL." At first, the room went silent. Then came the laughter. Not teasing laughter, full, brutal, mocking. "Girls can't be SEALs," yelled Jake, the loudest boy in class. "Stop lying, Emma." "Yeah, sure," another girl added, rolling her eyes. "And my grandma's a Power Ranger." The teacher tried to calm them, but the damage was done. Overnight, Emma became the liar girl. They scribbled "SEAL Faker" on her locker, barked at her in the hallway, and made flipper jokes when she walked by. Even the adults didn't help. Some teachers gave her soft looks, the kind you give someone who's clearly imagined something too big, too heroic. But the truth was that Emma hadn't imagined anything. Her mother was a SEAL, one of the few female operators to ever pass the brutal training pipeline, and she had raised Emma alone while serving in one of the most demanding, elite military units on Earth. Sarah had never bragged about it, never posted about it, never. Even wore her uniform outside base. She believed silence was strength, but silence also left space for doubt. One Friday morning, things got worse. Their school had scheduled a Career Heroes Assembly, and Jake made it his mission to humiliate Emma in front of everyone. "Hey, Emma," he shouted across the cafeteria, "your mom coming? Or is she busy fighting imaginary pirates?" The whole table erupted. Emma felt something inside her crack, not break, just crack, like a window under pressure. She ran outside and hid behind the gym, hugging her knees, sucking in air that wouldn't stay in her lungs. She wasn't crying because of the bullying. She was crying because her mother, the strongest person she knew, the woman who'd dragged wounded soldiers to safety under fire, who'd once jumped from a helicopter into pitch-black water, could not even defend her from a middle school rumor. That evening, Sarah found her curled on the couch, puffy-eyed. Emma finally said it, the sentence that broke her mother's composure. "I wish you weren't a SEAL. I wish you were just normal." Sarah knelt beside her, cupping her face gently. "Emma, being quiet doesn't mean being weak, and being doubted doesn't make you wrong." But the next week would test those words in ways neither of them could have imagined. On Wednesday, during third period, the classroom window rattled slightly. Students barely noticed. They were too busy whispering about Emma after Jake had printed fake memes mocking her SEAL mom. Emma kept her head down, doodling waves again. Suddenly, the intercom cut with a sharp burst of static, and before the teacher could react, the classroom door swung open hard, not busted, not slammed, but precision opened with tactical speed. A dozen figures in full gear swept in, moving like shadows, helmets, night vision mounts, plate carriers, insignias muted. For a heartbeat, the room froze. Then one of them, tall, commanding, stepped forward and lifted her visor. Gasps rippled through the class. Is that? Someone whispered. It was Sarah Lane. But not the mom in jeans and a hoodie. This was Sarah the operator. Sarah the SEAL, Sarah the woman who'd crawled through deserts, swum under crushing surf, and graduated from the toughest military program in existence. Behind her stood her team, silent, disciplined, watching every corner of the room as if the school were a war zone. "I'm sorry for the intrusion," Sarah said calmly, her voice firm but warm. "My unit and I were invited by Principal Harding to speak at today's assembly. We were asked to demonstrate what real teamwork and service look like." The students stared, stunned. Jake's mouth hung open like a dropped gate. Sarah scanned the room, then locked eyes with Emma. Not a stern look, a proud one. For the first time, Emma felt taller than her fear. Then, in one surreal moment, Jake whispered, "Emma, you were telling the truth?" The seal stepped aside, creating a path. Sarah gestured. "Emma, could you join me?" The room held its breath as Emma stood, shaking slightly, and walked to her mother. Sarah rested a hand on her shoulder. "Courage," she said loud enough for the class to hear, "doesn't always look like this." She gestured to her gear. "Sometimes, it looks like telling the truth when no one believes you. Sometimes it looks like being kind to people who aren't kind back. And sometimes, it looks like a young girl who stands alone because she knows what's right." No one spoke. Jake sank into his chair, face bright red. Sarah continued, "My job is dangerous, yes. Hard, yes. But the hardest job I have is protecting this girl from a world that doubts quiet strength." She looked at the class and her tone softened. "Be better to each other. You have no idea what battles people are fighting." The team filed out with precision, leaving the room in stunned silence. Word spread through the school like a wildfire. By lunchtime, the entire student body seemed to orbit Emma with wide eyes and uncomfortable. "Apologies." Jake approached her, hands trembling. "Emma, I'm sorry, I didn't know." Emma looked at him, not with anger, but with a strength she didn't know she had. "You never asked," she said quietly, and somehow that hit Jake harder than any insult ever could. In the days that followed, things changed. The laughter stopped, the pointing stopped, and slowly the respect began. Emma didn't become popular, she didn't want to, but she became seen, understood. And one afternoon, as she walked home with her mother, she said with a small smile, "You know, being a SEAL's daughter is kind of cool." Sarah laughed, ruffling her hair. "Kind of? Life didn't magically become perfect, but Emma learned something powerful. Truth doesn't need approval, and courage doesn't need noise. And the world, no matter how loud, always quiets down when the truth walks into the room wearing combat boots." If this story moved you even a little, please like the video and subscribe to Kindness Tales. Your support helps us bring more real, emotional stories to life every week.